What is good, you guys? Welcome back to the Heat Report and welcome back to a brand new video where we talk all things Miami Heat basketball. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Goran Dragic and Andre Iguodala's contract, as well as talking about the free agency period for the Miami Heat as a whole, because we have a lot of free agents this year and we're going to be talking about some of the big ones, and we're going to be talking about how the Miami Heat can improve their roster next year. Obviously, I'm recording this video as soon as the news about Goran and Andre's contracts broke, because I wanted to wait until that news broke out so I can talk about it fresh off the dome. So that's what I'm doing right now. So make sure you guys enjoy the video, comment down below, leave a like and subscribe, and also please follow my Twitter if you guys have Twitter. I will be posting more regularly about my thoughts about the Heat, rants, uploading new content on there sometime, and I'm gonna be just giving my thoughts about the Heat on Twitter. So make sure you guys follow it. It's gonna be in the description, but if you guys do not want to look in the description, it's at the Heat Report 2. So it's very simple to find. If you guys have Twitter, please follow me there. But yeah, I'm gonna be talking about the news of these contracts straight off the bat. We're gonna be talking about Andre Iguodala and Goran Dragic, because it first broke that Andre Iguodala's team option was getting declined for $15 million a year. This is obviously pretty, self-explanatory. He's not worth $15 million a year. And I don't think I should say more about that. The more interesting news came out was about Goran's contract. Now, obviously, Goran's contract was a $19 million team option. Now, the thing about him was that as soon as Andre's contract got declined, a lot of people expected Goran's to get declined as well. But the thing was that Goran's contract got accepted. So this probably, in my eyes, means that he's probably going to get traded for someone in a sign and trade deal to bring in a guy like a Kyle Lowry, a Colin Sexton, and a Kevin Love, someone like that. And the thing about Goran Dragic is that I've loved him. I think he's a guy that probably deserves to get his jersey retired in the rafters. He's been with us since the post-LeBron days. He's been our, probably our most consistent player since then. He's made his first All-Star appearance with us. He's been a Heat legend, man. And if that was the last game he's ever played, that 4-0 sweep against the Bucks, then he's had a great Heat career. But obviously, the Heat feel that it's time to move on, and rightfully so. I don't think he looked like himself last season. Maybe it was because of the injury, maybe it was because of age, but there's times we have to move on, and this might be the time for us to move on from Dragic. Obviously, like I said, $19 million is an overpay for him, in my opinion, but I don't think we're going to be using that to keep him on the roster. He's probably going to be facilitated in a sign and trade deal. So that's my thoughts about Goran Dragic. Now, I do believe that it's probably going to be for Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry's the big name that has been going around with the Heat. Now, obviously, Kyle Lowry is intrigued with the Heat, and I would be too, because I think that Kyle Lowry is, fits the culture to a T. He's good friends with Jimmy. And yeah, I think that, Goran Dragic could be facilitated in a sign and trade deal, but the Raptors are not stupid. They're probably going to want a young asset like a Hero or a Precious Achiuwa or someone like that for us to facilitate this deal. Now, Kyle Lowry is a great player. I love him. But $30 million a year, I thought was too excessive. But it seems like the Heat are going to go for it. And in one way, I don't really blame them, because you have to swing for the fences now. Even though you're going to overpay for a player, you got to build around Jimmy and Bam and not waste their primes. So I wouldn't be surprised if, Kyle Lowry was the guy that they go for. And picking up Goran Dragic's option makes it less likely that he's probably going to return to the Heat. And I'd imagine that they're picking up his option because they think that they have a really good chance of Kyle Lowry, being okay with Miami. Obviously, there's other teams that he's interested in, like the Mavericks, the Pelicans, the Sixers, the Lakers, or other teams that have been reported. But obviously, the Heat have done this with knowledge that he likes the Heat. And if he likes the Heat, and if it's a good deal to go to Goran Dragic and tell him that they're going to sign and trade him to Toronto, something like that, I would not be surprised, and I would not be disappointed in getting Kyle Lowry in a sign and trade deal surrounding Dragic. Now, obviously, a lot of people will say, what about Iguodala? Why did Iguodala get declined, and why didn't he get accepted? It was probably because I don't think a lot of other teams were, really okay with paying an Andre Iguodala $15 million a year. Because, he's a guy that is a vet minimum guy. He's a vet minimum player. That's what he is. And I don't think that he could find teams that would be willing to take on that contract. unlike a Goran Dragic. And obviously Goran is a better player than Andre, so that also, that also adds on to it. And the fact that we have accepted Goran Dragic's contract means that the Heat will probably add talent through signing trades more than signing someone in free agency, straight up. I don't think we're going to be having the money to just sign a big name player in free agency, instead of having, cap space like 22 to 27 million. We're probably going to have a lot less than that by picking up Goran's deal. So we're probably going to have to use him in signing trade deals. So whether that's Lowry, whether that's Sexton and Love, whether that's anyone else, he's probably going to get traded. And also being over the cap means that it's a lot easier to re-sign our guys like Dwayne Dedmon or Victor Oladipo or Trevor Ariza, the guys with bird rights, because they're cheaper. Because they're cheaper that way. It also gives us a $9.5 million exception as well. So by exercising the option, the Heat can really use his $19.4 million salary to facilitate a trade for a guy like a Lowry. And I think the Lowry deal will happen. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I think we'll get Kyle Lowry on the team somehow. And I think the Heat have a plan. I think they know what they're doing. Obviously, the Heat, very smart organization. So I'm not too worried about it. And, I'm not too worried about, what they're going to do with Goran's deal. I've loved Goran's time here, but it looks like it's coming to an end. And it looks like he's going to be replaced by Kyle Lowry. And I'm, like I said, not too mad at that. So those are my thoughts about Goran and Andre's deal. Expect Goran to be traded. That's what I would say. I don't think it's 100% sure that he'll get traded. And it'll probably be, if he gets traded, it'll probably be for Lowry. But the Raptors might say we don't want to take on his contract. So that's another thing you have to deal with. Because even if Lowry wants to go here, you have to still find a trade that pleases the Raptors. So that might have to include giving up a guy like a Tyler Hero or a Precious Achiuwa or someone like that with who is young and has nice potential. So that's what I would say. If Goran Dragic, with his contract being picked up, this allows Miami to explore multiple sign and trade avenues. But I would say watch out for the Kyle Lowry one, because Kyle Lowry, his preference remains to play with Jimmy Butler because that's his, one of his best friends. So, that's what I would say about this, man. That's what I would say about the Goran Dragic situation. Iguodala, we could either bring back on a vet minimum, or he's probably going to go back to like a team like the Warriors. I would not be surprised if he did that, but he's a free agent now. He's a free agent. So if we want to bring him back, we bring him back. Otherwise, he's gone. I'm not too fussed about that. The next thing we're going to be talking about, Duncan Robinson, K. Nunn, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus. These guys have all been restricted free agents now. They're restricted free agents officially. The interesting thing is that Gabe Vincent is on a standard contract while Max Strus is on a two-way contract. So it looks like Gabe Vincent is becoming he's transitioning from a two-way player to a guaranteed deal with his restricted contract. I expect him to be back. K. Nunn and Duncan is interesting. I think Duncan will be back. I have a feeling that Duncan will be back. I don't think the Heat will let Duncan Robinson go, unless it's a trade for like a Ingram or someone like that the Pelicans really, really want. But I don't think the Ingram trade is as likely as a lot of people think it is. I made a video because a lot of people were talking about the Ingram deal. I would love Brandon Ingram on the team, but I just don't see the Pelicans giving up his talents. And Kendrick Nunn, I just don't know about Nunn, man. I think he's the one I'm completely in the dark about. I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe, we're going to be seeing him re-sign, but I would not be surprised if K. Nunn is gone. And I would not be surprised if he just, signs with the team for 15 to 17 million and we don't match it. So I can see that with K. Nunn, because if Kyle Lowry is on the team, because if Kyle Lowry is on the team, we don't need another point guard who's on that much money. So I wouldn't be surprised if K. Nunn is, gone, especially because K. Nunn is a guy that's a lot better starting than coming off the bench. So if a team is paying him $15 to $17 million to start, I don't think we should be matching that if we have Kyle Lowry on our squad, for him to come off the bench and not be the same K. Nunn that we all know and love. K. Nunn could be very similar to Josh Richardson. I'm not even going to lie. He could be very similar to Josh Richardson. Josh Richardson was a guy that he had a great season. He had his best season with the Heat, averaged about 18 points per game. Now he's with the Celtics, obviously. But he's a guy that I loved. I love Josh Richardson. I loved his consistency. I loved his, what he did for us night in, night out. But I always knew Josh Richardson did not have the potential that a lot of our other rookies like Bam had, even Justice. Like, I think Justice's career got derailed by injuries a lot, but I think him and Bam had more potential than Josh Richardson, because obviously Jay Rich was a second-round pick. He was not he's not a guy who was drafted with tons of upside. He was a guy that we picked up, and he was consistent. He's a guy that was a consistent player, but he didn't have the potential. And that's where you see the difference between Nunn and Hero. Nunn is probably the more consistent player, but the reason that the Heat might lean towards keeping Hero is the fact that he has shown higher upside. So unless Hero gets traded in the Kyle Lowry deal, which I wouldn't be surprised as well. So, and Woj just tweeted, as I'm recording right now, the Heat's decision to pick up the $19.4 million option on Dragic's deal is a possible precursor and utilizing him as a part of a potential sign and trade with Toronto for Kyle Lowry, sources tell ESPN. So yeah, the whole NBA media is in on it now. Everyone thinks we're going for Kyle Lowry, which I wouldn't blame. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, man. Just keep your eye out. A trade might happen soon. Just keep your eye out about that. So those are my thoughts about the free agency, about Goran and Andre's contracts. Obviously, the rest of the free agents, I would love Dwayne Dedmon back. Trevor Ariza, vet minimum guy. If it's not a vet minimum, I don't think we should trade for him. Oladipo is interesting. Oladipo is very interesting. I would love him on like a $10 million deal. Probably like another 1 year, 2 year rental. Not anything long term, because we have to see how he comes back from his injury. But I would like Oladipo back on the team, because at worst, he's still a very good defender. Like, even if he doesn't have the explosiveness on offense, he would come in and be one of our best defenders. Like, at worst, even like with his injury struggles. And that's what he showed when he came to the Heat. In his 4 games, he was a very good defender for us. So I would like Oladipo back on a cheaper option. Hopefully that happens. But yeah, those are my thoughts on these deals, man. Those are my thoughts about the Goran Dragic option. Expect a trade to happen probably soon. I'm not even gonna lie. I think he's gone. Iguodala, obviously, he's a free agent now. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Make sure you guys leave your thoughts down in the comment section below, man. I want you guys to let me know, what are your thoughts on this? Do you want the Kyle Lowry deal to happen? And what would you give up for Kyle Lowry? Because the Raptors are not stupid. They're not going to take Goran Dragic straight up, because they don't want his $19 million deal without having another sweetener in there. They want a young guy. Unless Kyle Lowry is like, I want to go to Miami, and I'm going to go for nothing unless you take this deal. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Kyle Lowry definitely wants to be here. This is definitely one of his top choices, and I think my prediction is that Kyle Lowry will be on the Heat next year, and Goran Dragic and one of Tyler Hero or Precious Achiuwa will be on the Toronto Raptors. So let's see how this works. And we'll see what happens, man. I'll see y'all later as always. Make sure y'all drop a like, subscribe, comment down below. Hit that Twitter up.